Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so glad that you're here. I am a gardener in North Texas, Zone 8A. If this is not your first time joining me, welcome back. I'm so happy that all of you are here. Today, I'm going to take you on a little garden tour because there's really not a whole lot going on. We're going to talk about what I have planned for the spring. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Okay, so there really isn't too much going on out here right now. It's, you know, the middle of January, so not a whole lot is super flourishing. I do have some beets growing. Right here I have 4 different types of beets, and then I have some turnips and rutabagas. I did harvest some turnips yesterday, so there's not a whole lot left in there. And then I still have cover crop of clover pretty much all the way through this. I think that I'm going to turn this into essentially like a flower garden for the spring. One reason why is because the dog kind of trumps all through here. He plays in it, he lays in it. So I don't want to put anything that's edible for us because he is a dog and he goes to the bathroom where he wants, and I don't want to be feeding my family that. So I think that this will be flowers, especially the pollinator friendly flowers, zinnias. I have some anise hyssop coming, some other things. I think that will look really nice here. So that's the plan for this, at least for right now. I may change my mind, but I really want to get lots of beautiful color going through here, make the bees and stuff happy. And then over here, this probably looks quite different from my last garden tour. My husband got me these beautiful raised beds for Christmas. I do have a little bit growing in them. I couldn't wait to get started, so I planted some beets, and then those 2 right there are rutabagas, and then the next one down has some turnips, 3 different kinds of turnips growing in it. My plan for these 2 is I'm going to have sweet peppers in the front of each, so like bell pepper, paprika type pepper, those type of peppers I'm going to have in the front, and then I'm going to have some basil varieties, some nasturtiums, some marigolds in here as well. Sort of really beautiful companion plants, give some color, give some life. And then I want to also add some okra in the back, at least in this one. In the other one, this one down here in the back, I'm going to put eggplant, and I may attempt one final time to grow squash, just like a zucchini or something like that, patty pan squash. They grow really fast here, they grow really easily here, but unfortunately the squash bugs are so bad that things just get decimated before I'm able to harvest anything quickly. The squash vine borers really just wipe out the plants super fast. So I may try one final time for that, but you know, I am a little undecided on if I want to do that or not. I would rather devote the space to something that, 1, my family really enjoys eating, and 2, something that's not going to be so high maintenance for me. And squash in this area of the state is really high maintenance because of the various squash pests. So this green stalk really mostly only has kale, these top 3 rows, and then the bottom 2 does have a few kohlrabies left. I do need to fertilize. They're looking kind of, you know, not super wonderful, but they did survive that deep freeze that we had in December, so I'm happy about that. I am going to be transitioning this into growing hot peppers. So all my hot peppers are going to go into this green stalk right here. And I think that's going to work out really well because we have a tendency to eat more spicy peppers than we do sweet peppers. So I needed a place, I needed lots of space for peppers. So this has like 36 buckets. I think it'll work fine. Then Over here, I still kind of have these covered because it has been relatively mild here. Today is the coolest day it's been in a while, but previous to today it's been 70, 75 degrees. So I kept the covers on these to protect from cabbage moths, and it's worked really well. Because look how lovely this cabbage is right here. It's really starting to get a nice head on it, and it just looks really lovely and healthy. These collard greens are doing amazingly. I'll try to lift that cover off so you can see a little bit. Look at that. Look at that. So beautiful. Actually can harvest some of these. Now, quite a bit of this did actually get impacted by that hard freeze. Whenever I covered it, it was all protected. I made a mistake and uncovered things too quickly, and we had one more cold night and it just wiped out a bunch of stuff. You can see where it really damaged the Swiss chard, but it's trying to come back, so I'm just letting it. It's taking its time, and that's okay. We're not in a hurry for it because we have other leafy greens. And if you can see, we are starting to get some Brussels growing on a couple of these Brussels sprout plants. Let's see if I can get the cover off here so I can kind of show you. So we are starting to get some little baby Brussels growing, so that's really exciting too. I'll go ahead and cover that back up. Now, this was my tomato patch last year, and this was a really good area for it because it gets the early morning sun, and then, you know, the sun up until about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we had the shade cloth over coming out. So the late afternoon, super hot part of the day, it was shaded. That worked really well. So I will amend all of these containers, these grow bags here. I will amend them, add some more compost, some earthworm castings, you know, blood meal, bone meal, and get these ready again for tomatoes, because this was a good area last year. Last year was my best tomato year. I would like to do better this year. So that's the plan. Tomatoes will be here. These buckets were along the fence over there-ish, but whenever we put in the raised beds, I just moved them back here. Those will be coming out. Grow bags will be going there for tomatoes, and then, you know, some marigolds, nasturtiums, basil going to be interplanted through here. Early on, after I first transplant the tomatoes out, I will be planting bush beans with the tomatoes, and then after I harvest all the beans off, I'll let the plants die off, and that's going to give the tomatoes a good nitrogen boost. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to be planting some black garbanzo beans. I think that will be interesting. It will also give a nitrogen boost once I harvest the beans off of the plants, and that will be good. So that's the plan for this tomato patch area that currently has the winter crops that are left. There are still some collard greens left back there, plus that one there. So we have tons of leafy greens going on right now. Over here, I do have various radishes. That one is daikon radish, and I have planted daikon radishes twice now, and I can't seem to get them to germinate, but all of the other ones are germinating fine, so I'm not really sure what's going to happen there. This green stalk at the top still has thyme. This mostly survived the frost as well, the herbs anyway. Thyme, and then this Greek oregano here. These end pieces kind of frizzled out, but then it came back, so it's going to be okay. I do need to come back through and get rid of all of the things that did not survive that deep freeze, and I'm going to be planting more herbs in here. So this is going to have more basils. I have another oregano, parsley, cilantro, dill, all of those type of things. Now, parsley, cilantro, and dill are only going to last until probably mid-April, maybe early May, and then it's going to get too hot and it's going to bolt, and then I'll just have to remove it and move on. But I want to transition this to herbs and then pollinator friendly things like calendula, marigolds, stuff like that. This one, the pockets are shallower. Right now I have some lettuces growing inside. I did start some seeds for lettuce, so that's going to come in here. The kale is going to stay at least until it becomes too hot, and then it won't really be happy. But the plan for right now is to have lettuces in that and then go from there. The aloe did take some frost damage on its outer leaves. You can see how they kind of went kaput, so I need to actually cut those off. But most of the rest of the plant is healthy and fine. The lime tree, here is doing really well. I moved it inside and kept it inside for quite a while, so it is doing okay. The sages are doing okay. The rosemary also doing okay. I think that what I have in these barrel looking planters where my light posts are, I think that's going to reseed itself. It's mostly marigold, some calendula, and then some sweet alyssum. So I think those will both reseed themselves, and then we'll start to see things grow once spring actually does hit. So back to spring planning. Let me step into the greenhouse here. So I did get this mostly cleaned out, reorganized. I can get in here and move around now. I did have an ant issue, but I think it's okay now. So let me come in here and talk about spring planting for just a bit. Okay, so I have started hot pepper seeds, I have started eggplant seeds, and I have started lettuce seeds, and then straw flower. Coming up for this weekend, I will be starting the large tomatoes, so like the big ox heart and the big beefsteak tomatoes. I will be starting those, and I will be starting sweet peppers. I'm staggering my seed starting, one, so I don't overwhelm myself with the amount of things that need to be transplanted at one time, and two, just because it's a little bit easier space-wise to have, you know, 1 or 2 trays of seeds starting at a time, rather than last year and the year prior whenever I had 7 7 trays of seeds starting at a time. So I'm trying to stagger it out a little bit, 1, to make it a little bit easier for myself, 2, trying to figure out the best time frame to plant certain things. Here in North Texas, it gets blasted hot very, very quickly, so most of the bigger variety of tomatoes don't really do well here. I'm kind of trying to cheat the system a little bit and kind of force the bigger tomatoes to grow here by starting them earlier than, you know, my cherry or my slicer varieties. But I'm trying to figure out the exact date range to do that. I started everything on New Year's last year, and it worked. I got lots of produce, but it was a lot of work for me because I had to transplant twice, sometimes 3 times before I could plant it out after, you know, the risk of frost had left. So I'm trying to save myself a little bit of work but still be able to get lots of harvest. So trying to figure out those key dates and everything. And then keeping track of all of that within the spreadsheets for my tomato data analysis project. So there's a lot going on as far as the spring planting. I think Yes, so this week is just sweet peppers and then the big varieties of tomatoes. So I think it's just 1 tray of seeds that I'm starting, which takes up a lot less room than 7. Let me tell you, I have 2 trays, 2 complete trays inside now for the hot peppers, eggplants, strawflower, and lettuce, which that isn't too bad because that's 4 different things. So that's kind of what I have going on here. I have all of my seed starting stuff outside, that way I'm not making a big mess inside. So I have my soil, my disinfected seed starting trays, you know, everything that I need out here. When it's warm enough, I have my trays out here, but it hasn't been warm enough at night to leave them yet, so they're inside. They are on heat mats right now. I haven't added supplemental lighting yet because I'm still waiting on things to sprout. And then once things are sprouted and they don't require the heat mats anymore, then I'll add the supplemental lighting to give them that good boost. But that's pretty much all I had to talk to you about today. Just a very quick garden tour, the spring plans, and you know, kind of what's coming up for this backyard homestead. I hope all of your garden planning is going well. I'm also catching up on some garden reading, research, reading some books, some that I got for Christmas and some that I have recently purchased. Just trying to make sure that I have all of the knowledge that I'm going to need to have the most successful garden season that I can have this year. But all of that being said, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful week. I hope that your garden planning is in full effect and you're all getting ready for your best gardening season ever. And that is all I have for you today. I will see you all next week. And until then, you guys have a wonderful week, a wonderful day. Bye!